choices. And there are many choices.
Yeah.
Mhm. Hi, Aya.
Hi.
Hi. Good to see. Well, good to see you.
Thank you. You too.
So we have several more students. I think 8 more.
Okay.
Mhm. The TESL 109 students are so on the ball.
Yeah, they
Like,
seemed very, very into it.
yeah,
That was good.
For freshmen. So yesterday I did a piece about interviewing skills, like
Oh,
20 minutes before I started the new content. But I would say half of them already did their interview.
oh, wow.
And that has never happened.
Huh.
Usually they wait till like November. So that's why I had timed it that way.
Right, right. Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
well, why would we wait until November? Because we want to make sure we get our papers in on time.
wow, wow.
Yeah.
I'm
They're
impressed.
like that with everything.
Huh.
We had a Kahoot in preparation for the last quiz.
Mm.
And it was like a game show. They were like so excited. And this group is great too. I have a wonderful set of students in each of my 4 classes this semester. So.
I'm glad to hear that.
Hi, Usma.
Thank you for wearing a mask in the library. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they can hide, and then I have to go tell them, no, I know it stinks, but it's the rules. You have to wear a mask.
There's even signs that say it.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Derica's here. Hi, Derica.
Hello.
And Carol Bustamante told me to tell you hello.
Oh, that's sweet.
Amanda's here. Usma. Erica, Evelyn. Kay is here. Aya is here. Oh, Manny's here. Okay. Hi, Manny and Kay and Evelyn.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Okay. So I think we're safe to start. And if the others come along, that's even better. Okay, I'd like to introduce Chris Strawn, who you may have come across before. He is one of the librarians at the NEIU library, and he, I guess he's an umbrella over more than one content area, right? TESL and—
Yes, linguistics and philosophy.
That's right. So
and government publications.
Okay, you're busy.
I am.
Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you for having me. So, Yes, so I'm the librarian for TESL. And so what that means is if you are in any TESL class and have any questions, you can email me. You can set up an appointment for a research consultation and we could talk about your research. And so I'm gonna just pop my email in the chat and I'll show you other ways to get in touch with me. So just out of curiosity, how many of you are only taking online courses this semester?
I'm taking one in-person class and then, no, actually 2 in-person classes and then 2 online.
I'm taking 4 in-person classes and 1 online class, which is this class.
Oh, it's a heavy load.
I'm taking 4 online classes.
Oh, okay.
I have 3 online, 1 in person.
Cool. All right, yeah, I was going to focus more today on the things that you can do online, just because even if you do like spending time in the library, you may not always have the time to do research, and there's a lot of ways to get what you need. Let's see, obviously, one of the students here is in the library. Have any of you been in the library lately?
Yes.
Great, great, good to hear. Good to hear. So just as I'm sure most of you know, if you walk in the library, immediately to the left is the reference desk. That's one place you can go if you have any research questions or just need directions or have a quick question about library policies or finding things. But what I'd like to do is to start off by going to the library website. Oops. And could I have access to screen sharing, please?
Oh, sure.
Ooh, I'm the host. Awesome. So I'm going to put this in the chat as well. So there are a whole lot of ways to get to the library website. I usually just type in library.neiu.edu and then it automatically corrects it to the correct address. All right, so you don't need to see the Zoom launch. Here's my calendar. So here's the NEIU Libraries website. It's just like any other library website. It has the basics. It has the hours that we're open, research guides, journal finders, things like that. One thing that I would like to direct you to is the chat box. So if you click on the chat box, this little window will pop up and you can chat with a librarian. So whoever's at the reference desk is usually the person who's answering the chat questions. So again, if you're not on campus, if you are out and about and have an urgent library question or need help doing some research, this is a great way to get it. So today I would just like to talk to you about 3 ways to find articles. I usually focus on the databases and that's what we're going to do last, but there are a few other ways to find things that I think are very useful. So I understand that you all have a big assignment coming up. What topics have you all chosen?
I chose colonialism and language in the native sorry, I'm just like doing it off the top of my head. 1 second.
I know I had a number of topics involving colonialism.
Yeah,
Okay.
there were
I chose colonization in Mexico, colonization and the language in Mexico.
Oh, fantastic.
I was looking into the regional differences in American Spanglish because I know I code switch a lot. so I wanted to research in that.
Oh, that's an
That's
interesting topic.
juicy.
That's one I
They're
haven't
all
heard much
juicy.
about.
Who else is chosen
I
from the
was gonna do
long,
the
long?
colonialism and language in India.
Ooh,
Okay, that should be very interesting.
all right, so there's a lot of ways to find articles, and I'll show you how to narrow down the sorts of articles that you might want in a moment. So a lot of people's first instinct is to just type stuff into the search box here. And the library website is best if you already know what article you're looking for, because it'll take you to a place where you can get a hold of it. So I've got your syllabus here. So just for fun, let me highlight, copy and paste one of these titles. You can do this with any title. So if you're reading another article and find a citation, just go to the library main page and type in the title of the article. So this article, for example, is available online. You can click on through and it'll tell you a whole bunch of different ways to find it. In this case, we can get it through this service called Academic Search Ultimate. It's not important to know what that is, just that this is a way to get to an article. And when we click through, you'll have to sign in. My browser saved my login for me.
Can I say something, Chris?
Yeah, of course.
I suggest that before you pull up the article, you read the abstract,
Yes.
because sometimes the title of the article is misleading. You know, sometimes like
Right.
when we read the newspaper or magazines, you know, the title is just made to excite you or intrigue you, but it's not really
Yes,
accurate.
yes.
So you want to read the abstract to make sure it's aligned with your actual topic and interest. I'm sorry.
Right now. Oh no, and a lot of times article titles aren't all that unique. So you might type in something and then realize that there's 3 articles. And so if that's the case, you know, just double check on the date and the authors and so on and so forth. So I'm going to close out of here. So we're back at the library catalog. Again, this is a great place to go if you know what you're looking for, like you have a title already. But if you're trying to find new articles to start up research, it's not the best place to go, just because it's just not designed for that. So another place I'd like to talk about is Google Scholar. Have any of you used Google Scholar before?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. So it's pretty straightforward. You go to scholar.google.com. And something you'll notice if you look in the little upper right-hand corner, there's my picture there. That's because I am logged in. And so if you go to Google Scholar and you're logged in with your personal account or just not logged in at all, you're going to have a hard time actually getting your hands on the articles. Once you've logged in with your NEIU account, you are connected through the NEIU libraries, and we pay a ton of money to make sure that our students and faculty have access to tons and tons of research. So Google Scholar works a lot like Google Search, which means that it's got some of the same problems with Google Search. You're going to get results that you don't necessarily want. Let's see, colonialism and language in Nigeria, just as an example. So on the one hand, you get a ton of hits like you would with Google. On the other hand, there's no easy way to really refine your search. You can sort it by date, and that's about it. But it looks like we've got some decent hits here. One thing that I would caution you whenever you're using Google Scholar is that you do need to assess everything that you see on here. There's no way to prove through Google search whether or not something is a scholarly article. So just keep that in mind. And you can see that you can click through, get to PDFs over on the side. They do usually have abstracts. And sometimes you'll see this find it at NEIU link. And this is great because this will take you back to our catalog. So if an article is not available immediately, you may be able to get it through the library. So we've got some options for finding stuff here. So just some caveats about Google search. You can find a lot of great stuff, but it's not necessarily scholarly. So you'll have to do a little bit of legwork to verify that what you're looking at is trustworthy and comes from a peer-reviewed source. So I'm going to close this out and go back to the NEIU library website. Have any of you used the research guides? Yep, I see one hand. Excellent. So one of the best ways to find articles is through an article database. And what an article database is, it's a lot like a library catalog. So in the library catalog, we have, for example, TESL Quarterly, one of the big TESL journals. And so every time a new issue comes in, I check it in and put it on the shelf. But what I don't have time to do is to go through, read every single article and put that information in the catalog to say, the article on pages 1 to 15 is about this, and here's the author and what it's about, and blah, blah, blah. So what we do is we subscribe to databases, and there are people who work for the databases that do that for us. So if you click through to the databases and articles, you'll see a very, very long list of different databases. And this is very confusing. So I don't recommend doing that unless you specifically know what database you want. Instead, what I recommend doing is going to the research guides, and pretty much every topic that you are taking is going to have a research guide on here. So if you're taking this in addition to chemistry, make sure you go to the chemistry research guide for some guidance on research in that class. And it'll provide information on finding resources, and also will have a list of databases. So because this class is a TESL class, I'm going to scroll down to Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, TESL Research Guide. Click on it. You see my picture there. There's all of my contact information. And it also has links to related areas. So education is something that you might want to check out because obviously you're teaching, so education is relevant. Likewise, linguistics, that's another guide that I have been in charge of. And there we go. Admit one more student. To find the databases that are the best places to look, go to articles. And this will have a list of relevant articles or relevant databases for the topic at hand. You saw the very long list. Most of them are topic specific. So a big challenge in doing research is finding the correct database. And two of my favorite are Linguistics and Language Behavior Abstracts. It's all about language. And ERIC. ERIC's about education, and it's one of the best databases out there. The Department of Education sponsors it, so it's very, very thorough. So what I'm going to do is click through to ERIC. And now normally if you are just launching up your browser, you'll have to sign in at some point. It's the same ID and password that you use to access your library account or D2L or anything like that. But because I've already signed in, it logged me in automatically. So every database is going to look slightly different, but they all have the same features. So usually in the main page, you find a generic search box. There's usually an advanced search, and a few other things that you can check. This one allows you to look for full text immediately, as well as scholarly journals. So that's really useful. That's something that you want to keep in mind because there's a lot of stuff out there that is relevant to education, but isn't necessarily scholarly. It doesn't come from a peer-reviewed journal. It might be, a white paper published by someone at the Department of Education, or it might be a video that someone posted of a lecture. So great resources, not necessarily a scholarly article. So just to see how this works, I'm going to type in, let's see, what did I do for Google Scholar? Colonial English in Nigeria. And we found some pretty good articles. And I'll show you how to refine this. So for example, as you see, we've got some videos. Don't really want videos. We've got some stuff that may or may not be scholarly. Don't want the non-scholarly stuff. So every database will allow you to do what's called limiting your search. And that just narrows things down so that you only get stuff that's relevant. So on the left-hand side, I'm going to click this scholarly or peer-reviewed journals box. And that brings us down to 33 articles. You'll see that the videos have gone away. Those are not relevant to what we want to do. And there's a whole bunch of other ways to narrow things down. So for example, if I click on language, sometimes you find stuff that it's not in English. And if you don't speak that language, that's not really useful to you. So you can weed out everything that's not that. What's neat is you can click on geography. So sometimes it's tough to limit things by location. In this case, 29 out of the 30 articles have a geographical tag of Nigeria. So that's great. You can also narrow things down by date. So maybe 1982 is a little bit old. Let's bump that up to 2000. And that brought us from 33 articles to 22. So we've got 22 fairly recent articles on this topic. So this is an example of what's called a basic search, and you can do a lot more advanced stuff. So if you click on advanced search, it'll take you to a place where you can begin constructing a much fancier search. So I'm going to backspace the initial search. And what I like to recommend is using the thesaurus. So I mentioned that I don't have time to go through every single journal that comes through the library and look at every single article and put its information into our database. So what the people who put together ERIC have done is use a thesaurus to look at subject terms and say, yes, this article is about X, Y, and Z. And what is important to remember is that the subject terms aren't necessarily the words that you would use, and that's why this thesaurus is useful. So I'm just going to type in colonialism and see what we get in the thesaurus. So this is actually interesting. I did not test this, but the thesaurus entry for colonialism says foreign policy, which is really odd. I completely disagree that that should be considered a synonym of colonialism, but I'm just going to click on it because I'm curious. When you click on a subject term, it'll take you to its alphabetical order. And then I'm going to click on it again. And it gives some information about what this means. So none of these really match what I was looking for. So what I'm going to do is go back to advanced search and scrap this thesaurus search real quick. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put colonialism or colonial in the search box up here. And that'll be part of our search terms. So as you recall, we were looking for colonialism and English in Nigeria, just as an example. So just because the thesaurus failed there doesn't mean it's not always a good idea to check. So let's try it again. Let's try English just to see. All right, so we have English as a second language, English for special purposes, English language learners. So what I'm going to do is just sort of go through, click on the ones that I think are potentially useful. We can take them out later. English instruction, language learners, English only movement. Maybe that's relevant. English teachers, sure. And then when I'm done, I can click Add. And what it's done is it's put together this very complex coded mess of search terms that it's going to enter into the database for me. So it's using this specific language of the database, so I don't have to guess what the database is using. And whoops, sorry, I clicked back. So what it's done is put this in here, and because I want this separated from the rest of my search term, I'm going to put it in parentheses. Parentheses are a way of keeping things together. So I just hit enter. Sometimes you'll also notice that it will recommend search terms, and some of these look really great, so I'll just select that one. And then finally, the one thing I'm going to enter is Nigeria. So I'd like to explain real quick what is going on here, because this is probably a little confusing. So we've got three, oops, let's see, admit. We've got three parts to our topic. We have English, we have the effect of colonialism, and we have Nigeria. So what I've done is put each of those on 3 different lines. If we had 4 parts, I could add another line by clicking this plus button, but we don't need that. And I want to make sure that they're all connected by the word and, because if I chose, for example, or, then it would search for English or colonialism, as opposed to English and colonialism and Nigeria. Another thing to notice is that when the database sees terms that are more than 1 word, so something like business English, it puts those in quotation marks, and that makes sure that we find those 2 words in order, as opposed to business or English. It tends to interpret spaces as ors. So I'm going to click search here. And you'll notice that we've narrowed everything down, and that is not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of times you do not want as many search results as you would get just by typing in a whole bunch of terms. So by using an advanced search, you can get a much narrower range, or if you put in fewer search terms, you'll get something broader. So like here, choosing an indigenous official language for Nigeria. This looks like something that would be really interesting, language choice and cultural imperialism. So that's just the most basic introduction to doing an advanced search. So let's look at an article. So this language choice and cultural imperialism article looks really interesting. So I'm going to click on it. And you'll notice that every database has a lot of the same basic elements. So there's the article title, we have the author, and actually you could click on the author and find everything that this author has written. So maybe you find an author that's really prolific and writes a lot about a topic that you're interested in. You could do it like that. It tells us the citation information. So this was in the ELT journal in 1995. It says, yes, it is peer reviewed. That's a great place to check. It's got all of these descriptor terms, location identifiers, and it also has an abstract. So an abstract is basically a short summary of an article. And this is great because you don't want to have to read every single article that you look at and then find out that it's not what you want. The abstract is a couple of paragraphs and it saves you a ton of time. Another feature of most databases is the ability to email it to yourself, print out the article or the citation, all sorts of great stuff. So for example, if you're using one of the library computers and you don't feel like printing out what you've got, you could click on the email button and email this citation to yourself. Like so you could print it out, do all sorts of stuff, click cancel. Something that you'll find really useful is the citation button. Oops, did that work? There we go. It just took a moment. This is really cool because what you've got is a whole bunch of ways to cite this article. I can never remember, APA or MLA? APA, okay. So right here, we've got the APA citation. It's all ready to go. One caveat, sometimes these databases put in a bunch of extra garbage. So just double check that that's not in there. Check your citation guides just to make sure that it looks right, but it's a whole lot easier to copy and paste this into your paper than to type it all out
This,
from scratch.
Chris, I just want to say this is such a wonderful feature. I can remember being an undergrad in the 80s and having to type out each one. And I was always second guessing myself because my strength was always the content and the quality of the writing, but not like APA and all that. So this is just the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I agree. I agree. It used to be that you'd have to like go to the reference desk, say, could I please have the APA citation guide? And it would always be checked out. So this is a lifesaver. One thing that you'll notice about this is that it's not available from ERIC, which means that you can't read this article right away. So for databases, their purpose is not to give you access to articles. The main point of a database is to tell you what articles exist. Sometimes they'll have a PDF of the article, sometimes they won't. So again, keep an eye out for this little blue Find It at NEIU button. And what this will do is we'll take you back to our catalog. And hopefully it will give you an option to get this article somewhere. So in this case, it looks like we have this journal here at the main library on the second floor. So if you wanted to, come visit the library, you could have access to this article right away. Another thing you can do, and I'm going to click on the sign in button. Is you can request an article that is otherwise not available through WorldShare Interlibrary Loan. So I'm just going to click there to show you what that looks like. So it's always going to ask you what you want to do in terms of service. I don't know why it does this. Just check Northeastern Illinois University. And then you'll have to sign in, again, using your NetID and password. We're very big on security here. So, oh, that's right, I changed my password. Sorry, I'm a bit slow today, and I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi here or what. Okay, so this is a great way if you cannot immediately get an article. You just click through to this WorldShare Interlibrary Loan. And what this does, it's super convenient because it fills everything out for you. Back in my day, sometimes this did not happen and you had to manually enter everything and hope that someone would be able to find it for you. So just double check that everything is entered, click submit request, and within a few business days, you'll get an email saying that the article is ready to view. I've gotten articles in as little as like 3 hours, and then sometimes it takes like a week if it's difficult to track down. So, this is why I recommend starting now, plan ahead, because most articles are going to be immediately available, but occasionally you'll find that one article that you really, really want, and it might take a couple of days to get a hold of. So I'm going to stop sharing real quick. Any questions so far? Does that all seem to make sense?
I want to reiterate what you said about starting early,
Yes.
because, you know, I think the greatest investment and the most important part of this is the upfront looking for good articles. They don't always come easy, but when you find them, it's a wonderful feeling. It's like a rush that you get. And then, you know, there's momentum there, but you do have to take the time. And if it's an article that's not available right away, you know, it may take 3 or 4 days for them to send it to you, but that process is free and it's wonderful when you start early. So thank you for saying that, Chris.
Yes, as you pointed out, it is free. So sometimes if you're poking around Google, you'll find options to pay for articles. Don't do that. If you can't find an article any other way, send me an email and I will track it down for you. You know, we spend a whole lot of money here at the library on making sure that we have access to resources and we have librarians. So, you know, you pay enough in tuition, do not pay for articles. We will find that. So let's go back to the library website. Just real quick, I'd like to show you another database. So I'm going to close out of ERIC. So this is LLBA, Linguistics and Language Behavior Abstracts. It's slowly signing me in. So you'll notice that this looks a little bit different, but it's got all of the same features. So there's this nice little peer-reviewed checkbox here. There's the advanced search. So let's just do an advanced search again, just to show you some of the differences. You'll notice that there is a thesaurus. So let's see what happens if I type in colonialism. Great, so the word colonialism is in this thesaurus. All of the thesauruses are slightly different. So let's add that to the search and let's see what happens if we just type in English. Let's see. Great, so we have English as a key term. And then try one more line. Ooh, excellent. Nigerian English is a potential key term. So I'm going to close this out and just type in or Nigerian English. Now that we know that that's something that's used. You'll notice that Nigeria did not come up as a subject term. That's because it's not really a subject. It's more of a geographical term sometimes. Yes. So you'll notice here on the side where you can pull down anywhere, this will find things literally anywhere in an article. So like if you typed in France, France is also a last name. So you might get a lot of stuff by authors named France. So I'm going to select location and just type in Nigeria. And click search. Notice that if you scroll down, you can narrow things down quite a bit before you even search. I'm not going to worry about that, but I will click peer reviewed. Let's see. So not as much. Keep in mind that this is mostly a linguistics database. So you're going to find a lot less about things like pedagogy, so on and so forth. So even if you can't find something in one database, try another one. Out of curiosity, if I unlimited the peer reviewed. No, not much. Another thing to try if you do run into this issue where you aren't getting a lot of hits, think about which subject term is least necessary. So if we get rid of colonialism, we still have English and Nigeria, and English is a colonial language in Nigeria. So maybe colonialism isn't necessary. So
Can I ask a question, Chris?
sure.
I probably have been wrong, but I always thought the location in the search had to do with where the article's written, but no, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't believe so. Let's see. Yeah, no. I think it's more of a subject term for where the article is about.
Mhm. Okay, that makes sense.
So recheck peer reviewed. So just by doing that, getting rid of colonialism, we got 82 hits. So
Wow.
think about what you can get rid of, think about what you need to add, so on and so forth. Just like in the previous database, you could filter. So 81 articles in English, 2 in French. Maybe we don't want French. You can see if there's a particularly prolific author by clicking on this person. Doesn't look like it because they all have one article. We can narrow down the date range. So let's do 2000 and downward. Oops. And update. 77 hits. So we've gotten, a bit more of a relevant recent list of hits. So is there anything in the databases that I missed or that you'd like me to review?
I don't think so. These two databases are the ones that I usually suggest. The language and linguistics, what is it called? Abstracts, and then ERIC. But do you think there are any others that might be helpful given the kind of variety on the list? Is there anything, or I guess they
Sure.
could kind of tool around. I don't want them to be wasting time, but are there any others that might be good, do you think?
Yeah, so one that I use a lot, especially when I'm starting up on a new subject, one that I don't know a lot about. Oops, that's not where I wanted to go. It's called Academic Search Ultimate. So you can get to this easily by clicking on databases and articles, and then we have a popular databases. So most of our databases are subject specific. Academic Search Ultimate is very general. So it's got 10,000 different journals. And so I guess the danger of using Academic Search Ultimate is that you're going to get a very broad range of topics, but a fairly shallow depth of knowledge, whereas something like ERIC is a narrow topic, but you're going to go real deep. So you can use it the same way as you would any of the other databases. So for this particular topic, it's not too bad. We got 52 hits. Let's limit it to scholarly. 46 now. This might actually be a great article. The Functions of English in Nigeria from the earliest times to the present day. 2009.
It sounds like this may be a good place to start. Maybe you'll end up in the linguistics abstract and the ERIC.
Right.
But
Yeah, you'll notice that there's going to be things like, here's one on public health movies. Personally, I love those things. I think they're fascinating and I would like to read this article, but it's not really relevant for the purpose of this paper. Here's one on child rights and the framework for marriage in Nigeria. Not
Very
really
broad.
relevant. So, you know, you're going to get a lot more hits than you would in a more narrow database. But again, you know, this is great because suppose you find a topic that you really like and want to write more about an extension of this topic for a later class. This might give you some hints as to where you can go. And let me promote the Find It at NEIU button again. Again, we don't have access to a PDF of this, but if we click Find It at NEIU, it'll take us to a place where we can see if we can get it. Looks like it's not online, so we would have to request it through WorldShare Interlibrary Loan. So I'm going to close that tab, go back to Academic Search Ultimate.
And I'm glad you mentioned date of publication. It
Yes.
really is dependent on your topic, whether you decide to look at older articles. That's up to you. But the most recent content, the most recent research, of course, is going to be in the 2000s, but there may be good reasons to go back further. So I'm not opposed to that at all. I think some of these research pieces from the 70s and 80s are fascinating.
Right. Let's see, I'm just going to click on here. Okay, so it's, yeah, again, it's got the same basic information that you would want. Author, the source, what it is, it's an article. Again, some of these databases have books, some of them have videos. So if you check peer reviewed, you're pretty much guaranteed to only get articles. Yeah, one reason you might want to go back in time is if you've got 2 or 3 really great articles and you notice that they're all citing a specific paper from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, maybe that would be a good paper to read because it's probably something that sort of set the foundation for future research. You know, just because it's old does not mean it is not relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So just to recap, I'm gonna close out of all of this. The research guides are your friend, and I do hope that you use them in classes beyond this one. Also keep in mind that your papers may take on an angle that is not so strictly TESL, so maybe you will need to look up some psychology stuff. In that case, you should probably go to the psychology guide. Political science research guide might be useful.
Even anthropology.
Yeah, absolutely. Sociology. Yeah, like I said, I'm the government publications librarian, so maybe you need some data from, you know, the Department of Education. Let me know. And we do have a government publications guide that I've got set up here. So.
And you are willing to, if students need it, meet with them one-on-one.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah, that is why I'm here. To help you with your research in any way that I can. So, you know, we could meet over Zoom just to go over your topic. Maybe you need help narrowing it down or just can't find anything on it. That is what I'm here for.
Thank you, Chris.
No, thank you. Let's see.
Does anyone have any more, any questions? I wanted to dedicate the remaining time to you finding at least one good article and definitely narrowing down to one topic and finding one article.
Yeah,
Maybe
and I will
two.
be here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Okay, guys, you can go to it, and we are both here to help you. If you want to talk about your topic because you're not sure, you're between two topics, we can always, one of us can go with you to a breakout room if you'd like. Just let us know.
Oh, and I've just posted a link to a survey. It would help us out if you would not mind answering the questions in that regarding this library instruction session. We want to make sure that we are able to give you all the information and help that you need.
Also, remember that no question is a bad question.
Miss Francis, can I talk to you in a breakout room? You're muted though.
Okay, let me do that. Oh, you know what? Chris, could you give me back hostship? Okay, great. Thank you.
You have to submit a request through the interlibrary thing. Do you have to put anything in or just submit it with the information that's already in there?
In the world share one,
This one?
let's see.
Not sure if you could see that.
Let me make you bigger. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Oh, no. Once you're signed in, all of your information is already associated with it. So you are
Okay.
good to go.
So just submit request.
Yep. Yeah, and
Okay,
it'll
thank
tell
you.
you also if you're missing any information.
Okay, thank you.
So I missed the beginning of the class. What were the database search engines were you recommending?
Sure. So the two that I think are probably best are LLBA. I forget what it stands for, even though I see it every day. Linguistics and Language Behavior Abstracts. And then the other one is ERIC, that's the education one. And you can get to both of those by going to the library website, then going to research guides, and then clicking on the articles tab.
Okay, thank you. Professor,
Yes.
um, I just wanted to know if my topic was some like not too broad. I wanted to do
Okay.
language discrimination, but I didn't know if I should narrow it down to an age group and environment, or if I could keep it at language discrimination.
I love the topic. It's very broad. So I think that it's worth narrowing. It could narrow in many different directions. Wouldn't you agree, Chris?
Yes, yeah. You could pick a specific language or location or setting.
An age group, a dialect. You know, you might get into language hierarchy, and it doesn't have to be American. Um, there's supposed to be some language discrimination in France against English speakers, but you know, you can stick right with the great old USA. We've talked about some of this, you know, Spanglish and African American English. There's so many different directions, but just language discrimination, I think is too broad.
Okay.
Mhm.
You might try just going to Google Scholar because again, it is a very broad search, and typing that in and just seeing if there's any articles that look interesting.
Okay.
You might be able to narrow your focus just by seeing what's out there and what looks good.
Okay, thank you.
Clarissa, I'm going to, in the chat, I'm going to send you the names of 2 linguists that are expert in this area.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay,
And for our resources, like are we reviewing sections of the books that we find, or like just the peer-reviewed articles?
just the peer-reviewed articles.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, if you go to the folder for the assignment, I think it's near the bottom in D2L in the content section, it has more specifics. Yeah.
So Professor, we're choosing 3 topics to integrate into ethnography as a whole, right, for our paper?
Oh, you're talking about the paper that's due on Sunday?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is separate. So the stuff you're doing today is for your final project.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the paper that's due Sunday, and I was gonna say something about that before we end. Remember that there's 3 choices. So there's the code switching paper, the individual ethnography paper, or the institutional ethnography paper. So you choose one of those 3. And I want to say it's kind of late to decide to do the code switching or the individual ethnography unless you've already identified your subject and talked to them and everything. Probably the institutional ethnography one will be easier to do at this point.
Okay.
Okay, so please, I know that folder is loaded and there's a lot of details. I want you to make sure that you read the assignment carefully. It's really, I think, laid out well in terms of what you need to do. It walks you through everything that you need to do. If you do have questions, let me know. I'll be checking my email into the weekend. That assignment is due on Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Something else I was going to mention. And now I'm having a senior moment. But I'm glad you're getting a head start on this because this is a bigger project. The paper that comes after the one that's due on Sunday is a very small paper, so you'll be able to breathe. Any other questions before we end? Questions or concerns? Either for me or Chris. I'm going to post this recording on D2L as soon as I receive it via email. So if you forget the procedures or what we said, you can look back. Okay. You're free to go. And I'll stay in case anyone has questions. Okay, thank you guys.
Thank
And we'll see you on Thursday.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Please
Thank
feel free
you.
to email me with any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the day.
Okay, you too, Manny.
I wanted
Okay.
to talk to you personally, Professor.
Oh, sure. Okay, I'll stay.
All right.
Thank you, Chris. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Take care.
Okay, bye-bye, you too.
Okay. So for me, I was wanting to do mine on code switching because my family intends to well, me personally, I intend to code switch a lot, but
Mhm.
I'm away from my family,
You're
but
talking about the paper that's due on Sunday?
yes.
Oh,
So,
okay.
my mother-in-law, she knows English, but I'm not sure if she code switches when she's talking to other people. So what should I do? Because I really don't have anybody mainly to focus on that code switches.
So, you're saying that your family is distant? They live someplace else?
Yeah, so I recently moved to the south side of Chicago and the rest of my family lives in the north side now.
Okay.
So I'm just in between of what I should do.
So what you could do if you really want to do the code switching, do they use Zoom?
Um, I'm in frequent contact with my mother-in-law, but I don't know if she code switches often.
Oh, then she might not be an option because you want someone that you can be sure is a code switcher.
Okay.
Um,
Um, can you explain the iconography part a little more because I'm still confused on that.
Okay, so the ethnography individual, basically you're going to be interviewing someone who, and I can't remember the specifications, it's on the instructions, someone who came here from someplace else, and the specifications have to do, oh, let me turn off the recording.
That's okay. I'm